In this video, I've got a beginning tutorial for you on how to edit your photos in Adobe Lightroom Classic coming up. Hi, and welcome to It's Never Too Late to Learn. If you're new to this channel, my name is Charles Cabrera. It's my mission to help you get started with Photoshop, Lightroom, and photography with short and easy tutorials. If you like to learn this way, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Let's get on with the tutorial. Let's start off here in the library module. I've imported 6 photos and I've selected one here in the library module. So now we want to edit, so let's go into the development module, press D, and with that selected photo, we're in the development module. Up here on the right is the basic tab, and I'm going to collapse that right now, and there's other tabs here in the development module that at some other point we'll go through. So we're going to be working in the basic tab today. As you can see here, these are all the sliders that we're going to be working with. So let's make some adjustments to this photo. You can change the white balance if you want to give your photo a slightly different look. So here I changed it to daylight. It got a little bit cooler tone on the whole photo. And if I want to change it back to cloudy, there's another variation. But I would put my white balance on auto in my camera, and if I needed to change it for any reason, I would change it back here in Lightroom. Now these sliders here also help with the white balance if you want to change it to your taste. If you think that maybe you want to warm up this photo a little bit, now increase the temperature slider there, or I can cool it off the other way. Whatever your taste is. Tint, same thing, you can adjust the tint just a little bit. And at any time, if you want to put these sliders back to their original position, you just double click on the word right here. And I basically reset the tint and the temperature back to the values that it was shot at. Let's make this a little bit warmer. So now we can start working with the tone area up here. A lot of your work will be with the exposure and the highlights and the shadows. When you're taking photos with your camera, you're always trying to get your exposure right in the camera, of course, but it is always best to underexpose something than overexpose. You're going to be able to recover more of your photo here in Lightroom if it's underexposed rather than overexposed. So let's go over here to the tone area and start changing some values. We can give this a little bit more brightness, that's exposure. The highlights, in a lot of cases, especially landscape photos, the sky is usually very bright. So if you bring down the highlights, you could see that the detail in the sky is coming back. You can use the shadow slider to bring up things in the foreground. And the black levels, as you can see, will adjust the dark points in the photo. Something you can use with the black slider here is you can hold the Alt or Option key, click on the slider, and you could see the dark areas coming through the more I change this value. And where you want it would be right where you can just see those dark spots. And that's probably a good point to work with. Same with the shadows. The more I increase the shadow slider, the less I see the dark areas. And you can adjust it more to your taste. So let's move on to the presence area over here. There's texture, clarity, dehaze, vibrance, and saturation. Let's make some adjustments here. So the clarity slider can be used to give some smoothness. If you go to the left here, this is in the midtones, it's actually doing this. And if you slide over to the right, you could see that it's bringing back some detail or bringing in some detail. Dehaze is exactly what it sounds like. If you have a photo that has like a hazy look to it, you could change this so that you see in the background there the mountains are, it's not as hazy as you see it in the distance. In vibrance, that will bring up colors very nicely. Vibrance is good if you, instead of using saturation, especially in the case of portraits, vibrance protects the skin tones. But so that enhances colors that are already there. We really need to push the saturation, adding more color. So here is the before, and here is the after. And with just a few sliders in the basic panel, we've done a great amount of work to this photo. There's a really helpful feature here in Lightroom. On the left here is the history panel, and it is keeping track of everything that you do over on the editing side. And what you could do is go down each step that you were in, and you could see where it changes at that point where you were editing. So you can go back in history and start from there and edit. The idea is that you can go back in history and see, like, maybe there's another place you want to go back to and edit from. But here's all your history. So when you're working with photos here in Lightroom, you're not actually changing the photo itself. You're just changing a reference to it, or you're just changing a smart preview. So here in Lightroom, it's non-destructive editing. All your changes you made is stored in the Lightroom catalog. So okay, we've got one photo here edited. What if we have similar photos and we want to use the same edits or the same settings for them? Well, I've selected 3 photos down here. And here in Lightroom, there's something called Sync. Down over here on the right-hand side, click the Sync button. What this allows you to do is apply those same settings from, say, that first photo that we edited, and it applies to all the photos that are highlighted after it. So here I'm going to say check none. I don't want anything checked right now. I want to make my own selections. So all the things we changed, white balance, all the tone, the dehaze, clarity, all these settings are going to be applied to 2 more photos. By saying synchronize, the settings were applied from that first photo to this one and to that one. And if you want, you can go back and fine-tune them any way you like. But that's just a way in Lightroom to speed up your workflow, basically applying the settings from one photo you like to several other similar photos. And if you need to start all over on a photo, all you have to do is come down here to the right-hand side and hit reset. And all your values are back to 0. That's how you would start over. So let's look at another example. What if you have a photo where you look at it and you say, where do I start? I mean, look at this photo. Well, there's something here on the basic panel that we haven't gone over yet, and that is the auto. So if I click auto, you see that Lightroom has made a guess at a starting point or how this photo might look. And when I say it's a starting point, it really is. If you look at a photo, you don't really know which way to go. You can start out by hitting the auto and then make adjustments. So in this case, we can increase the shadows even more. Can make it a little bit brighter. Take down the highlights, change the black area. Bring up the shadows a little bit more. Play with the contrast. can add a little clarity here. See, bring back some detail. Dehaze it a little bit. So there's before and the after. And again, if there were other photos that were similar, you could select it, hit the sync, synchronize them. Here's another photo that was in a similar direction, and these are the values that were applied to it. So it's all about experimenting with these sliders, because it's going to, this photo editing is subjective. Whatever your eye sees, whatever you like, that's how you would adjust it. But that's what the auto button will do for you. If you want to see how it looked before, hit that backslash key. There's before, and there's the after. Today we were working in the development module. And as you can see, just in that basic tab, you can do so much. And you're going to be able to do most of your editing in Adobe Lightroom Classic in that basic tab. So later we'll go over some more of the development module and all the other tabs and take your editing to another level. So that leads us to the question of the day. Which software are you using to edit right now? Are you using Lightroom or something else? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. If this tutorial was helpful, please consider subscribing and hit that like button. And remember, it's never too late to learn. Also, check out some of my other tutorials on the screen above. And until then, see you in the next video.